The things which you stole from the most sacred temples with wickedness and like a robber, those things we cannot see except in your house and your friends' houses. Now, statues and ornaments with which Publius Servilius took, captured by force and virtue from the enemy's cities, according to the laws of war and his rights as commander. Those things he brought home for the Roman people, carried them in his triumph, made sure they should be described on public tablets in the treasury. You can recognise from the public documents the diligence of that most honourable man. Read.
The accounts delivered by Publius Servilius.
You see not only the number of statues, but also the size of each one, the figure, the condition defined in writing. Certainly, greater is the sense of joy and virtue in victory than that pleasure which arises from lust and desire. I say that Servilius treated the booty of the Roman people much more carefully than you noted and catalogued your stolen goods. You will say that your statues and paintings were also an adornment to the city and to the forum of the Roman people. I remember. I saw, along with the Roman people, the forum, the assembly house, adorned, in terms of appearance, with magnificent decoration, but in terms of consideration and thought, with bitterness and grief. I saw everything shining with your stolen goods, with booty of the provinces, with the spoils of our allies and friends. At that time, indeed, judges, that man, conceived the very great hope of the rest of his crimes also. For he saw that those men who wanted to be called masters were slaves to those desires. Indeed, it was then that the allies and foreign nations first abandoned all hope of saving their things and their fortunes, especially because, by chance, there were at that time very many ambassadors from Asia and Achaia in Rome who were worshipping in the forum images of the gods taken from their own temples, and in the same manner, when they recognised their other statues and ornaments, they wept as they saw various ones in different places. Then we used to hear that this was the conversation amongst all these men, that there was nothing for anyone to doubt about the ruin of our allies and friends, when indeed they saw in the forum of the Roman people, where they were previously accustomed to those who had done injuries to the allies being accused and condemned, things placed there openly which had been stolen and torn away from our allies through criminal activity. Here, I do not reckon that he will deny that he has very many statues, countless paintings. But I think he is accustomed to say, on occasion, that he bought those things which he seized and purloined, since indeed he was sent to Achaia and Asia, Pamphylia, at public expense and with the title of ambassador, as a merchant of statues and paintings. I have all the accounts of the man himself and his father of money received, which I have read very carefully and arranged. Those of your father, as long as he lived, are yours as far as you say that you completed them. For in that man, judges, you will find this new thing. We hear about someone who's never completed his accounts. Well, that view of men is false about Antonius, for he did them very carefully. Indeed, there may be some of this kind of man by no means to be approved of. We hear that another man has done them not from the beginning, but that he began from a different time. There's even reasoning behind this situation, but this indeed is strange and ridiculous. The way that this man gave in reply to us when we demanded his accounts from him. to the consulship of Marcus Terentius and Gaius Cassius. And after that, he gave them up. In another place, we will consider what sort of reply this is. For now, it is of no concern to me. For at the times about which I am currently occupied, I have both your accounts and those of your father. You cannot deny that you carried off very many very beautiful statues, very many good paintings. Well, I wish that you could deny it. Show, either in your accounts or in those of your father, that any one of them was bought, and you've won if you can. You don't even have a way of explaining how you bought these two very beautiful statues which now stand in your impluvium, and for many years stood before the doors of the Samian Juno. These two, I say, which are now alone in your house, waiting for a purchaser, left and deserted by the other statues.